Hello and welcome to Sallie Tomato and our online classroom. I'm Kate and today we're going to work on Connie, a practical backpack tote which makes a great hands-free bag. Jess was inspired by the movie Palm Spring Weekend when she designed this backpack, which gets me thinking about traveling. The pattern has two sizes, full or mini, so it makes a great choice for kids as well. All your supplies can be purchased at our website or request them at your local quilt shop. It's always good to support an independent retailer. So let's get started at the work table with your pattern. The finished full size for Connie is 11 inches wide by 15 inches high by 4 inches deep. The finished mini size of Connie is 9 inches wide by 12 inches high by 3 inches deep. Before beginning, please review the recommended fabrics on the back of the pattern cover and visit the Sallie Tomato website under Pattern Corrections so you have the most current information. You'll need a main fabric, lining fabric, sew-in foam, webbing for straps, mesh for pockets, which are optional, and fold-over elastic, which you do need if you are using the mesh for pockets. Next, you'll need hardware, a pair of ladder lock slider buckles, and zippers. I'm going to add a handmade label just for fun. Before you begin sewing, gather a few tools and notions to have handy while you work. A rotary cutter or scissors, sulky 40 weight poly deco thread, which is durable and looks great for the top stitching, Clover Wonder clips, pins, chalk or removable pen, basting spray, basting tape or glue, paper tape, a stiletto, a hot hammer, and a zipper foot. Follow the cutting instructions on each pattern piece. Remember to cut out the front top panel before assembling the main panel pattern. And remember to transfer all placement markings and cut all the remaining pieces listed. Try using the pre-made labels included in your pattern. They really help you keep track of all the Connie pieces. The mini size is noted in brackets throughout the pattern. If there are no brackets, then use the size listed for either size. Be sure to follow your pattern for the seam allowances and stitch lengths. I'm adding a little side note about directional prints, especially for the bottom gusset. Cut two pieces a little longer than half of the total length, then sew them together. Press the seam open, then trim them to the needed length, keeping the seam centered. Okay, position the foam on the wrong side of the coordinating fabric pieces. Try using a temporary adhesive spray to hold the layers together. It will help keep the layers of larger pieces from shifting. Top stitch the foam around all the edges of the front top, front bottom, main panel, zipper gussets, and the bottom gusset. Shape each bottom corner of the front, bottom, and main panels, and then cut along the marked line to round each corner. Alright, let's prepare the front top. Fold each handle piece in half to find the center. Measure and mark from each side of the center, and then fold the handle in half along the length. You're going to top stitch along each fold between the marks. Now with wrong sides together, fold the front pocket in half, matching the short edges, and then press along the fold edge. At the machine, top stitch along the fold. If you'd like, add a metal handmade label centered below the top stitched edge of the front pocket. Check out Jess's video tutorial at youtube.com/Sallie Tomato on installing this hardware. With right sides up, center the pocket on the front top, aligning the bottom edges, and then pin or clip the layers together. Next, you'll top stitch the sides and bottom edge of the pocket. Okay. Now with right sides up, position the front handle on the front top, aligning the bottom edges and outer edges of the handle along each placement line. Mark the stitching line across the handle with a removable pen or chalk, paper tape, or a pin. Top stitch the handle in place, starting at the bottom edge and sewing up to the marking or pin, then pivot, sew across, and remember to remove the pin if you used it. Then pivot again and top stitch down to the bottom edge. Do the same for the opposite end of the handle. Time to prepare and attach the front bottom. With right sides together, center the facing along the top straight edge of the front bottom piece, aligning the top edges. Sew together along the indented edge of the facing piece. Back at the work table, snip into the lower corners of the seam allowance, being careful to not cut through the stitching. This will help the facing to lay flat when it is turned. Trim the seam allowance and then press the facing so the front bottom and the facing are wrong sides together. Now press the lower bottom edge of each lower zipper lining and upper zipper lining to the wrong side. The hot hammer works great for crisp, accurate folds. With right sides up, the zipper closed, and the pull to the right, align the long edge of the zipper to the top long edge of the lower zipper lining. That's going to be the shorter piece. Pin and clip the edges together. Sew along the long edge. Using a zipper foot or a narrow foot makes this step easy, and you can easily move the zipper pull out of the way as you sew. Press the lower zipper lining away from the zipper, keeping the zipper tape flat. Now position the piece so the lower zipper lining is wrong side up and the zipper is right side up on the top. Center the front bottom, right side up over the lower zipper lining piece, aligning the top edges. Remember to move the zipper pull inside the indented section, and it's back to the sewing machine. Top stitch the lower zipper lining piece in place along the indented section. With right side up, center the front bottom over the upper zipper lining, aligning the top edges. The bottom and side edges of the upper zipper lining should be even with the lower zipper lining. Sew the upper zipper lining in place along the top edge, starting and stopping at the previous top stitching. Move the right side of the front bottom out of the way. Sew the zipper lining pieces together along the right side edge, and repeat for the left side. Leave the bottom edge unsewn for now. With wrong sides together, fold the zipper cover in half along the length. Press the fold, and with right side up, align the raw edges of the zipper cover along the top raw edge of the front bottom, making sure the sides are even. Top stitch in place along the sides and the top edge. Remember the sides, I'll have to go back and stitch those off camera. Alright, with right sides together, align the bottom edge of the front top with the top edge of the front bottom panel and sew them together. Trim away as much foam as you can from the seam allowance. Fold the front top away from the front bottom and then top stitch the front top along the seam. Okay, let's prepare the back. With right sides up, position the outer edges of the back handle in from the nearest outer edge and the raw edges measured up from the bottom edge. Then position one strap inside each of the handles, aligning the raw edges. Top stitch the handle and straps along the raw edges. Make sure to backstitch multiple times for reinforcement. With right side up, position the bottom long edge of the facing up from the bottom, and then top stitch along each long edge. Trim the excess even with the side edges of the main panel. Again, with right sides up, position the raw edge of one strap adjuster to each side of the main panel, measured up from the bottom edge, and now top stitch along the edge. Next, thread the raw end of the strap over the upper smooth bar of the ladder buckle. Then fold the raw edge of the strap to the wrong side and fold the strap to the back side. Top stitch the strap end to itself with 2 rows of stitching for reinforcement. Repeat for the remaining strap and ladder buckle. With right sides up, thread the raw end of one strap adjuster over the lower ridged bar of the nearest ladder buckle. Then fold the raw end to the wrong side twice and top stitch. Repeat for the remaining strap adjuster and ladder buckle and put this aside for now. Time to prepare the gusset. Position a longer double slide zipper along the length of one main fabric zipper gusset with right sides together. Let the zipper pulls and ends of the zipper extend beyond the sides. Both pulls should be on one end and the zipper should be closed. The zipper is longer so you don't have to worry about the pulls getting in the way of the needle or your presser foot. Layer one lining zipper gusset on top of the zipper against the right side of the main fabric zipper gusset. Sew the layers together along the length. Take a few minutes to trim away as much foam as you can from the seam allowance. Press the zipper gusset pieces away from the zipper. The main fabric and lining will now be wrong sides together. Top stitch along the zipper and repeat the steps to attach the remaining zipper gusset pieces to the opposite side of the zipper. Make sure to align the short edges. Trim the assembled zipper gusset so it measures the correct width detailed in your pattern. Make sure to trim an equal amount of fabric on each side of the zipper gusset. Move the zipper pulls to the center and trim off the excess zipper tape. If you'd like, you can stitch across the zipper teeth so the pulls won't slip off. I'll be adding the mesh side pockets, but they're optional, so you can skip them if you'd like. Make sure that the stretch of the mesh is along the width of the pocket. On the bottom edge of each side pocket, mark 2 placement lines measured in from each side edge. Match each set of marks with wrong sides together, then fold the excess fabric toward the outer edge to create a pleat, which you'll want to pin or clip in place. Top stitch the pleats along the bottom edge. Align the top raw edge of one mesh side pocket along the center of one elastic side pocket piece. Fold the elastic in half, encasing the raw edge of the mesh. Now you'll top stitch the elastic in place, stretching it as you sew to fit the entire width of the mesh. Repeat for another piece of elastic and the remaining mesh side pocket. With right sides up, position one side pocket down from one short edge of the main fabric bottom gusset, aligning the side edges. Then top stitch along the sides and bottom edge. With right sides up, center another piece of elastic over the bottom raw edge of the attached side pocket and top stitch each edge of the elastic in place. Repeat the same process to attach the remaining mesh side pocket to the opposite side of the bottom gusset before attaching the zipper gusset. With the main fabrics together, align the short edges of the bottom gusset and the zipper gusset and pin. With the lining fabrics together, align the short edges of the bottom gusset and the same side of the zipper gusset, again pin or clip, then sew together, starting and stopping in from each side edge. You'll repeat the steps to attach the opposite side of the bottom gusset pieces to the opposite side of the zipper gusset. Take a minute to trim away as much foam as you can from the seam allowance to reduce the bulk. Next, press the seam gusset pieces away from the zipper so that they're wrong sides together. Top stitch the bottom gusset. starting and stopping in from each side. Fold the assembled gusset to mark the centers of the top and bottom. This next pocket in the lining is optional, so you can skip this part if you'd like. The mesh lining pocket is prepared in the same way as the side pockets, with different pleat measurements and the lining pocket elastic. With right side up, center the assembled lining pocket on top of one lining main panel, aligning the sides and bottom edge. The corners of the mesh pocket will go beyond the curved lining corners. Sew together, following along the edge of the lining. Trim the excess mesh even with the lining. If you wish, top stitch a vertical line up the center of the pocket to divide it into 2 compartments. It's time to assemble the backpack. Fold the front, back, and lining main panel in half to find the top and bottom centers. With the right side of the main fabrics together, match the top and bottom center of the assembled gusset and front. Use sewing clips to hold the raw edges together. Continue to clip together the rest of the top, bottom, and side edges of the gusset to the front. Make sure you're only clipping the main fabric foam layer together. And remember to tuck the handle and straps to the interior of the backpack. Sew the clipped layers together. Then repeat to attach the opposite side of the gusset to the main fabric back. You may find it easier to trim out some of the excess foam in the seam allowances before completing the lining. And remember to open the zippers. Repeat these steps to attach the lining main panels to the lining side of the gusset. And here's a helpful tip from Jess. Attach the lining right side down over the main fabric front first. Now sew the lining seam, but this time use the wider seam allowance. You'll notice I've added pins to help hold the lining layers together where the backpack is stuffed inside. Turn the lining right side out, then attach the remaining lining piece. Take your time at the sewing machine. You can unzip the zipper if you feel that's easier to maneuver under your needle. And don't be afraid to squish the exterior out of the way. The magic of using the foam is that your bag will pop back into shape no matter how much you squish it. Jess chose this assembly method to avoid a drop-in lining and having to bind raw edges. This method takes a bit of maneuvering, but I think you'll really like how it looks. Yay, you got it! Trim the lining seam allowances and trim the excess foam from the corners of the exterior to help create shape and reduce the bulk. Then turn the backpack right side out through the unsewn edge of the zipper pocket. Finish that edge by top stitching or hand stitching the turning hole closed. And now you're ready for any adventure with your Connie backpack. Whether you make the full size or mini size, I know Jess would love to see where you go with your Connie. Please share photos at #Sallie Tomato and #Connie Backpack. And let us know if you found this tutorial helpful. Thanks for watching, and I hope your day is packed with sewing fun.